The year is 2025. Forget the flying cars and robot butlers, the future's biggest drama is unfolding not in the skies but within the gilded walls of Buckingham Palace. And at the center of it all, Queen Camilla, not as the dutiful consort we thought we knew, but as a woman wielding words like weapons, threatening to bring the entire Windsor dynasty crashing down. It all started with a book. Not just any book, mind you, but A Queen's Confession, a scandalous tell-all that ripped through the carefully constructed image of the royal family like a runaway train. Imagine the scene, the grand opening of Camilla's pet project, the Reading Room Festival at Chatsworth House, a lavish affair designed to showcase her as a champion of literature and intellectual thought. Crystal lanterns shimmered, journalists jostled for position, and Camilla, radiant in emerald green, delivered a speech about the power of books to foster compassion and understanding. The applause was thunderous, the headlines glowing. For once, she wasn't just seen as queen consort, but as a force in her own right, a humanist leader. But then, disaster struck. Eleanor Finch, a respected royal historian, stumbled upon a hidden volume tucked away on a secluded shelf, a brown leather-bound book, unlisted in the catalog, bearing only a faint crown emblem. Curiosity piqued, she opened it, and what she found sent shockwaves through the entire event. "I have lived amid lies and pretense, witnessing greed disguised as duty," the first page declared. The words were like a viper strike, detailing private family arguments, hidden conflicts, and anonymous insults, secrets only known within the palace walls. The book was signed simply A Queen's Confession. Chaos erupted. Reporters swarmed, cameras flashed, and Camilla, standing just meters away, visibly paled. Her carefully crafted smile faltered, replaced by a look of horror and forced composure. The whispers started immediately. Could it be true? Had the queen consort penned this scathing indictment of her own family? The Reading Room Festival, meant to be her crowning achievement, had become a stage for a royal scandal of epic proportions. The next morning, the headline screamed the news. "Mysterious book at Queen Camilla's festival exposes royal secrets." The United Kingdom was in an uproar, dissecting every word, every phrase, searching for clues to the author's identity. The voice was too familiar, the writing style too distinctive. All fingers pointed to Camilla. At Clarence House, the atmosphere was suffocating. King Charles, visibly shaken, stared at stacks of copies of the book, passages marked in red. An investigation was launched and the initial findings were damning. Handwriting analysis, linguistic comparisons, all signs pointed to Camilla as the author. A former servant even came forward, revealing that Camilla would spend hours writing in a secluded room, calling it her diary of sins. The news leaked, fueling the media frenzy. Camilla, the champion of compassion, was now suspected of betraying her own family. Confronted by Charles, Camilla offered a weak denial, claiming the book was a fabrication by her enemies. But the evidence was mounting, and the damage was done. The royal family was fracturing, and the woman at the center of it all was the queen herself. Camilla stood her ground. Perhaps this was her undoing, or maybe her liberation. Princess Anne, ever the pragmatist, arrived at Clarence House, a copy of A Queen's Confession in hand. No pleasantries, no accusations, just the stark reality of the words on the page. "I didn't want to destroy them," Anne read aloud. "I just wanted them to know I existed." A chilling sentiment, wasn't it? Anne, piercingly, declared it a manifesto. Camilla, cornered, finally offered a glimpse into her motivations. If she was only seen as a supporting character in Charles's reign, she would write her own story, one where a woman wasn't eclipsed by a crown. Anne's response cut deep. Camilla had weaponized the pen, and the most dangerous weapon wasn't necessarily lies, but the truth wielded by someone who knew how to twist it. The rain outside mirrored the storm within the palace walls. As Anne departed, she understood the dynasty wasn't just threatened by the media, but by Camilla's ambition, etched in ink. While Charles grappled with disbelief and betrayal, Prince William and Princess Anne launched their own investigation. They knew that if the truth remained buried, the Windsor dynasty's reputation would be irreparable. "We can't let Mother destroy everything she built with Father," William stated, his voice devoid of warmth. Anne, equally resolute, believed something had fundamentally changed within Camilla. Their investigation bypassed protocol, a silent coup within the palace. William focused on finances, tracing the flow of funds connected to the Reading Room Festival. Anne, meanwhile, sought out Camilla's inner circle. She met with Graham Wells, a media advisor, at a discreet tea shop. Wells, burdened by guilt, revealed a chilling statement Camila had made. The royal family only needs one person to be revered, and it doesn't have to be Charles. William's financial trail led to a hidden expense disguised as cultural collaboration. The money flowed to an editorial group and freelance writers specializing in political essays and social critiques. One name stood out: Richard Cole, a writer who had lauded Camila as the woman who brought civilization to the throne. The scale of the funding suggested a full-blown media campaign. The Reading Room Festival, it turned out, was a meticulously crafted platform to elevate Camila's image, to separate her from Charles and establish her as an independent icon. Articles, interviews, viral videos, all orchestrated to reinforce this carefully constructed persona. Anne recognized the manipulation. Words had become weapons, ambition fueling a dangerous game. A former servant revealed that Camila hand-picked interviewers, edited questions, and insisted on being referred to as Her Majesty of the Arts. The truth was undeniable. The Reading Room Festival was a soft power play designed to transform Camila from queen consort into a cultural force. Confronted with the evidence, Charles was devastated. He had believed he was giving her a chance to shine, but perhaps her ambitions were far grander. The media pounced, questioning whether the queen was manipulating public opinion through culture. Camila remained defiant, issuing a statement through her spokesperson: "No one can take away my right to write and be understood." William, in a tense confrontation, asked the question that hung in the air: did she truly want the dynasty to crumble so she could rise in its place? Camilla's response was chilling. If truth can destroy a dynasty, perhaps it doesn't deserve to exist. The words hung in the air, a declaration of war against tradition, against the very foundation of the monarchy. The royal hunt was on, not with hounds and horses, but with words, with accusations, with the weight of history hanging in the balance. The inner court meeting on October 2nd was less a discussion, more an execution. The grand room at Buckingham Palace, usually buzzing with activity, felt like a tomb. Charles, looking every one of his years, presided with a chilling detachment. William and Anne stood as silent sentinels, their faces betraying nothing. Camila, entering with regal defiance, was a study in controlled composure. "I've read it all," Charles began, his voice raspy. "I've heard the advisors, and I have no other choice." The air crackled with anticipation. Everyone present knew the hammer was about to fall. "From today," he continued, each word a calculated blow, "the Reading Room Festival is shut down permanently. A cultural initiative? Erased. A legacy? Extinguished." Camila's eyes flickered, a brief glimpse of the pain she must have felt, but her voice remained steady. "You're killing a legacy, not mine, but Britain's cultural one," Charles, unmoved, countered. "No, I'm saving a dynasty's trust." The order was recorded, the royal seal slammed down, but with that single act, everything Camila had built was reduced to ashes. The news spread like wildfire. King Charles orders closure of Reading Room Festival, ending Queen Camila's era. Images flashed across screens, workers dismantling shelves, sealing manuscripts, the very sign of reading room for the power of words being ripped down. The Times called it a symbol of a soft power's fall, once adored, now despised. But the decrees didn't stop there. Camila was stripped of all cultural patronage titles, barred from royal representations. William, reading the announcement to the press, sounded like a robot reciting a pre-programmed script. The British royal family values individual contributions, but no one may exploit the monarchy's name to harm its protected values. A verdict pure and simple. That evening, Camila was asked to leave the palace. No farewells, no ceremony, just a black car waiting at the back door. She paused by Charles's portrait, the golden light illuminating his painted face. "You've won," she whispered, "but do you truly understand what you've lost?" Then she turned and walked away, her footsteps echoing in the vast hall. At Chatsworth House, royal security seized every copy of A Queen's Confession. Some were boxed and sent to vaults, others were burned on site. A BBC reporter, watching the flames consume the pages, declared that fire doesn't just burn paper and ink, but a woman's dream who believed she could change the throne with words. The next morning, the paper showed Windsor Palace in the rain. A distant photo of Camilla alone outside the iron gates carrying a small bag and a singed manuscript. The Guardian wrote, "She once said writing is freedom. Now writing is her chain." What a fall from grace. From champion of the arts to exiled outcast. Inside the palace, Charles read the news, his face a mask. William remained stoic. Anne, standing by the window, felt a pang of something akin to sorrow. They had done what they believed was necessary, but the sadness of exiling one of their own lingered. And Camilla, outside those gates, let the rain soak her. Her hand clutched the singed manuscript, the edges blackened by smoke. She bent to pick up a charred page, whispering, "If they want me to atone with words, I'll write for them a lifetime." Lightning flashed, illuminating her face. In that moment, she wasn't defeated, but reborn. An exiled author carrying her legacy in ashes. The car rolled away, leaving Windsor Palace behind. No one knew where Camilla went, but all remembered the image, a dethroned queen in the rain clutching a singed manuscript. An era of words had closed, and with it, the woman who believed she could rewrite history became just another chapter in the story she created.